The BJP under Prime Minister Modi has dismissed the Congress party as a spent force and talked about a Congress Mukt Bharat. But for the last 72 hours, it is one thing that has dominated the Prime Minister's agenda in all his speeches and rallies in different parts of the country, and that is the Congress's manifesto, specifically one part of it which guarantees wealth redistribution in the country. This time, Prime Minister Modi has escalated his attack, accusing the Congress of aiming to seize assets and distribute them, targeting women's savings, ancestral lands and homes. In the backdrop of this massive war of words, the Congress has accused the Prime Minister of trying to divert attention of people by giving a hate speech, but it's gone even beyond that now. Take a look at this.
The manifesto war escalates. Prime Minister Narendra Modi once again targeted the Congress manifesto at a rally in Tonk, Rajasthan. He claimed the Congress and India bloc are jittery after re-exposed their appeasement politics.
हमारी माताओं बहनों के पास जो स्त्री धन होता है, जो मंगलसूत्र होता है, उसका सर्वे करेंगे। और फिर उनके एक नेता ने तो भाषण में कहा, एक्सरे किया जाएगा। आपकी सारी संपत्ति, जरूरत से ज्यादा जो भी होगा, वो उनका कब्जा करेगी उनकी सरकार, कहते हैं। और फिर लोगों को बांट देंगे। राजस्थान में से एक भी पंजा बचना नहीं चाहिए भाइयों। मनमोहन सिंह जी ने भाषण किया था और उस सभा में मैं मौजूद था मुख्यमंत्री के नाते। मुस्लिमों का देश के संसाधनों पर पहला हक है। कांग्रेस पार्टी की सोच हमेशा से तुष्टीकरण की रही है, वोट बैंक की राजनीति की रही है।
The Congress rejected Modi's claims on wealth redistribution in its manifesto. It accused the Prime Minister of trying to divert people's attention from real issues.
डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी देश के प्रधानमंत्री थे। उन्होंने किसके इशारे पर कहा था कि देश के संसाधनों पर पहला अधिकार मुसलमानों का है। आप देश को मुसलमान और गैर मुसलमान के नाम पर, अल्पसंख्यक और बहुसंख्यक के नाम पे बांटना चाहते हैं।
कौन सा मुस्लिम लीग का इश्यू है उसमें? सबको, सब महिला को 1-1 लाख रुपए सालाना देना, ये मुस्लिम लीग का है प्रोग्राम। युवाओं को नौकरी देना, ट्रेनिंग देना और उनको 1 लाख रुपए ट्रेनिंग के लिए देना, ये मुस्लिम लीग का है। बोलो आप कौन सा मुस्लिम लीग का है? अरे 25 गारंटी हमने जो दी सबके लिए दिए हैं। गरीब के लिए है, महिला के लिए है, युवाओं के लिए है, दलित के लिए है, सबके लिए हमने दिया है।
Opposition leaders termed Prime Minister Modi's remarks objectionable and highly deplorable.
ओहदे पर फायज होने के बावजूद भी नरेंद्र मोदी को इस तरह की इनडिग्निफाइड बातें करनी पड़ रही हैं। आप डर पैदा कर रहे हैं कि मुसलमान ओवरटेक कर लेंगे, तो इस तरह का बयान देना, ये तो इनका कंसिस्टेंट है। और ये गारंटी उनकी एक जरूर है कि 1% लोगों को उन्होंने 40% दौलत दी है।
Sharad Pawar compared Modi to Hitler and Putin.
अंतर्राज्यकर्ता पूर्ण रशियाचं प्रशासन, रशियाची शासन यंत्रणा आणि त्या व्यक्तीचं नाव पुतीन। आज या देशामध्ये मोदींच्या रूपानं नवीन पुतीन तयार होतं का काय, ही चिंता या देशाच्या जनतेला आहे।
India bloc allies are demanding the Election Commission act against Prime Minister Modi for his remarks, which they described as hate speech. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now remember, Rahul Gandhi has been out of action for the last few days owing to a health ailment. He's had to cancel some of his rallies. But the fact that Prime Minister Modi has picked up on a guarantee that Rahul Gandhi made at this particular press conference during the release of the party's manifesto and has been hammering in public event after public event should surely come as some kind of affirmation for the Congress party. But strangely, the Congress party has gone silent. They've gone and complained to the Election Commission. There are a handful of social media posts and a few sound bites, but the Congress party isn't hitting back at Prime Minister Modi in the way that you probably would have thought they would, given that it is the Congress manifesto that we are talking about and what the Prime Minister has referred to in his speech. I'd like to tell all of our viewers that in debates across the network and on many channels, the Congress has refused to send its representatives, and therefore the issue hasn't even been debated with actual Congress spokespersons. That's where things actually stand. But I want to get some clarity on what this really means. Is this going to be a big flashpoint ahead of the elections, a big resonant issue that the Congress can hold on to and run with by not engaging with the Prime Minister? That's a big question that people are still curious about. And joining me live is India's #1 political reporter, the most respected voice when it comes to elections, especially Rajdeep Sardesai, a consulting editor. Rajdeep, thank you for your time. My first question, Rajdeep, around this, this whole flashpoint between the Prime Minister and the Congress party over the wealth distribution issue, the Prime Minister referring to Muslims over, the earlier speech today, it was a little different. Has the Congress, in your view, Rajdeep, consciously decided not to engage on Modi's attack and be drawn into a religion-based conversation?
Thanks very much, Shiv. Yes, I think the Congress has realized that engaging with Mr. Modi on a Hindu-Muslim issue is subject to diminishing returns, which is why, while they've gone to the Election Commission on the speech made by the Prime Minister in Banswara and claimed that it is a clear violation of the Model Code of Conduct, you will see that in their speeches and their public pronouncements, the Congress isn't, as of now, engaging with the BJP and the Prime Minister on the comments that he made in Banswara, which the party says prima facie amounts to hate speech. So there is a recognition shift somewhere down the line. The Congress has seen this in the past, that whenever you engage on a seemingly polarizing issue, it is advantage to the Prime Minister and the BJP, because you're then playing on their pitch, on their turf. And I think that's something that the opposition is trying its very best to resist in this election, because that will only lead to polarization and distract from what the opposition believes are the real issues, be it unemployment, be it rising prices, where they believe they are in a position to put the government on the mat.
Rajdeep, do the last 2-3 speeches by Modi, including the one you referred to in Banswara, do they show that the Congress is finally in some way controlling the conversation? Because after all, it is the Congress's manifesto that is sort of dominating Modi's rally speeches now.
Look, Shiv, I think what happened is that the Congress and the opposition started this campaign a couple of weeks ago to save the Constitution. Samvidhan ko bachana hai. And made the point repeatedly, particularly after the BJP brought out its manifesto, that the BJP was looking at this election as one from where they could change the Constitution. And they claimed that the BJP intended to change the Constitution and thereby deny reservations to backward caste, SC and STs over time. Yes. This has been a campaign which has now spread particularly across North and Central India. I think the BJP has recognized that this is a campaign that can get traction if not challenged. And I do believe, therefore, that what you're seeing in the Prime Minister's speeches is an attempt to shift the goalposts, to go back to some of the more polarizing issues, also question the Congress's claims on the Constitution itself, re-emphasize the point that this is a party that brought in emergency and try and send out the message that there is no question of the BJP tinkering with reservations or the constitution. To that extent, Shiv, I think the Congress and the opposition has almost forced the Prime Minister to react to its campaign on the possibility of the constitution being changed should Mr. Modi come back to power.
Which is very interesting, because it's actually a kind of switching of places. Usually you see the Congress constantly reacting to what the BJP or the Prime Minister say. Now you're seeing the Prime Minister and the BJP reacting to what the Congress has said in its manifesto, which is interesting, and we are deep into this election. Final question, Rajdeep, with this wealth redistribution promise, Samvidhan khatre mein hai, that reservations will be erased by the BJP if they come to power, all those things that the Congress is saying, do you see them as back in the game? For the longest time, this conversation has been about the 2024 election being a foregone conclusion. This is not about, whether the BJP will win, but by how, but what kind of margin or what kind of numbers it will win by. So the simple question I'm asking is the Congress, in your view, in some way back in the game?
Shiv, I really don't think that the opposition is back in the game in that sense, because in politics, you need more than just the narratives that are made in speeches. I would say that the opposition is still playing catch up. The Prime Minister had a head start, particularly after the victories in the assembly election, the Ram Mandir Pran Pratishtha. But what you do recognize is that when you travel on the ground is that there are real issues out there. Agrarian distress in large parts of the country is real. The job crisis is real. Now, all these issues in some parts of the country are resonating. The question, of course, is the opposition good enough and cohesive enough to take advantage of some of that anti-incumbency on the ground? My sense is at the moment, no. It's very patchy. There are parts of the country where the opposition is certainly competitive, but there are other parts where the BJP and Mr. Modi remain dominant. So I don't think you can say that the Congress and the opposition is back in the game, but certainly this campaign that they've launched, that the BJP is out to change the constitution, has managed to gather traction in some parts of the country, Shiv.
Okay, not quite back in the game, but some traction and engagement definitely visible, no less than traction from the Prime Minister at his rallies themselves. Rajdeep, appreciate that perspective, very, very valuable, helping us understand what this flashpoint really means, politically speaking, right in the middle of the 2024 election. So just to summarize some of those big questions that I have, and I'm sure our viewers also have, so we have a definite shape of this conversation that we're having on 5 Live. Number one, is the Congress manifesto really dominating the campaign agenda for the BJP? Has everything else been pushed aside? Now it's only about attacking the Congress manifesto. Is that a switching of roles? Number two, has the Congress's wealth redistribution guarantee in some way unnerved the BJP? Has Prime Minister Modi's attack put the Congress on the back foot? Does that explain its silence and refusal to debate beyond just some cursory replies? Number four, why is the Congress refusing to aggressively fire back at Modi? You got some perspective from Rajdeep on that, on perhaps why they've decided not to engage with full vigor. Number five, is the Congress silence in some way to deny Modi the engagement that he probably wants by attacking the Congress party so aggressively? Number six, is the Congress wary of being drawn into a communal/religion narrative when their guarantee, they say, is about poverty reduction? Number seven, is the Congress's tactical silence to preserve the Garibi narrative rather than get into a polarizing narrative which they see as the BJP's turf? Number eight, is this temporary traction for the Congress party and the opposition, or is the Congress really back in the game? All of these are important unfolding questions, but we're going to try and get some perspective from Mausami Singh, who tracks the Congress inside out from the ground, from their headquarters and from across constituencies in the country. Mausami, I'm sure one part of the Congress party must be quite validated quite enthused by the fact that their manifesto is now fueling speech after speech by the Prime Minister. It's an interesting turning of tables where it is the BJP that is reacting. It's usually the other way round. What are you hearing from within the Congress party? They appear to be quite careful not to, give the BJP the engagement that the Prime Minister is perhaps looking for.
Shiv, perhaps, there'll be much reading between the lines when Congress refuses to go on debating the frontal attack that the Prime Minister has launched recently in the past few days over the Congress's manifesto. Because importantly, as you said, turning of tables, the BJP with its mammoth electoral machinery have very, very rapid and hands-on surveys and feedbacks that are given. And certainly they have some feedback on the Congress manifesto clearly. And that's one reason that, after the first phase, strategically, earlier in the first phase, the Prime Minister had launched an attack calling the Congress manifesto the Muslim League manifesto. And there's a very pointed attack after the first phase of elections, again on the Congress's manifesto over the entire Sridhan Rao. So clearly the BJP is doing its homework as the contours of the election campaign change daily, and the euphoria and the rhetoric do play on the minds of the people. So I think the BJP is playing to the gallery. The Congress, as you said, certain sections could be very upbeat about the fact that it's great that the Prime Minister is flustered, and the narrative is that they haven't got very good feedback over the first phase, and that's why the Prime Minister is attacking the Congress. But are you really in the game? Are you really there on the ground? Or is the Prime Minister's attack really to the point and hammering as far as, reaching out to the voters is concerned? Is that what the people are believing? And is your counter narrative, as far as your counter attack, really formidable if you don't send people to talk about what the Prime Minister is saying? That's a strategy one can question. But really, the Congress does feel that they're in the game once the Prime Minister has been continuously raging against the Congress.
See, this is the reason why I bring in, India's best political reporting team, including Mosby, in on stories of this kind, where there is little clarity of what the insiders within the party actually think. Because what Mosby has said is very important. She says that while the Congress party might be feeling upbeat about what the BJP has been saying at these rallies, the BJP, remember, has the advantage of having very quick real-time feedback from the ground, and may actually be using what it is hearing from the Congress manifesto and the first phase to course correct, to calibrate, and to sort of sharpen its strategy going into the other attacks. So it may not entirely be advantage Congress. It could be beneficial to the BJP as well. Mosby, appreciate that perspective. Thank you very much for joining me on the show. Prime Minister Modi is speaking in Mahasamand in Chhattisgarh right now. Let's quickly and briefly listen.
विश्वासघात करना जानती है। कांग्रेस कभी भी गरीब की पीड़ा नहीं समझती। सोने के चम्मच लेकर के पैदा हुए लोग गरीब मां का दर्द क्या होता है वो कभी नहीं समझ सकते। मोदी समझ सकता है, वो जिंदगी को जी करके आया है, गरीबी को जी करके आया है। कांग्रेस ने 60 साल तक देश पर राज किया, लेकिन कभी उनको ये चिंता नहीं हुई कि क्या कभी गरीब के बच्चे भी भूखे सोते होंगे, क्या गरीब के घर में भी कभी चूल्हा नहीं जलता होगा। मोदी इस दर्द को जानता था, और इसलिए मैंने मुफ्त राशन की योजना चालू की, और आज गरीब को मुफ्त राशन मिल रहा है। भाजपा ने ना सिर्फ इसे लागू किया, बल्कि एक गारंटी भी दी है कि ये योजना अगले 5 साल जारी रहेगी, मुफ्त राशन मिलता रहेगा। कांग्रेस को कभी ये चिंता नहीं हुई कि गरीब के पास, मेरे दलित परिवारों के पास, मेरे आदिवासी परिवारों के पास इलाज के पैसे कहां से लाएगा। और हम तो जानते हैं कि परिवार में कोई मां बहन बीमार हो जाती है ना, तो परिवार के लोगों को बताती तक नहीं है, वो सहन करती रहती है, काम भी करती रहती है, पीड़ा सहन करती रहती है। क्यों? उस मां के मन में रहता है कि अगर बच्चों को पता चल गया है कि बीमारी है, अस्पताल तो ले जाएंगे, लेकिन इतना खर्च आएगा कि संतान कर्ज में डूब जाएंगे। अपने संतान कर्ज में डूब न जाएं, इसलिए हमारे देश की माताएं बहनें दर्द सहन करती थी, पीड़ा सहन करती थी, लेकिन परिवार को भी बताती नहीं थी और कभी कभी मौत को आलिंगन दे देती थी। ये बात मैं जानता था। तो फिर ये आपका बेटे का दिल्ली में बैठने का क्या मतलब? क्या मतलब दिल्ली में बैठने का? वो दर्द, वो पीड़ा मेरे दिल में थी, क्योंकि आपके बीच से निकल के रहा था। आपने मोदी पर भरोसा किया था। आज छत्तीसगढ़ के लाखों परिवारों के पास 5 लाख रुपए के मुफ्त इलाज का गारंटी कार्ड है।